Okay, this is my video for my game engine program that I've made. This is going to be a bit of a long video, but I'm going to go through as much of the game engine as I can. So, best place to start, I guess. Actually, I'll just explain what this is. So I have my bullet physics wrapper. That's what I use to use bullet physics in my game. Right now it's only working for rigid bodies. I don't have classes for connecting bullet physics with soft bodies in my game yet. I'm still working on that. This game engine isn't quite complete. I'm still working on it, but it's at a point now where I think I can go through and explain what's going on with it. So then I have my physics library where I have custom physics for soft body and rigid body. So rigid body, so easier. Stuff like clear accelerations, get transform, apply force. It's just making rigid body objects, positions, and radius and scale and math, all that kind of stuff. This is the actual math behind it. So let's do collision and collide.cpp. So I have stuff like no, it's not in there. Where is it? I guess it's just in rigid body. Transform. Oh, I know it is. It's in the world object. So on my update, I do my integration. So you can go to this, where I integrate a rigid body, or if it's a soft body, then I do it's an internal method that I call. So integrate rigid bodies here. If it's static, then I return save the previous position in case it is going to hit something, and then I use Euler integration, which is just adding the velocity and the gravity and the delta time and the acceleration and setting the position to all of that. And then if there's after that, I have the collide. So it's right here. I make sure that they're both collision bodies and test what type they are. So if it's a rigid and a rigid, then I collide rigid. If it's a soft and a rigid, then I collide soft. And if it's rigid and soft, then I collide soft. So I can show you collide rigid quickly. This is all just math stuff. So like if it's static, then I return any of the shapes. So if it's plane or sphere, then I collide sphere plane. I'm just going to go into this, and then all the other ones are pretty much the same, saving all the variables I'm going to need. Resetting the position if they're already colliding, just step it back and then do the collision. So I reflect and then set the velocity and then the position. Return true. And then I integrate again. So there, yeah, that's a bit of the physics on it. The custom physics that I've written, and these are the wrapper classes to just connect my interfaces that I use in my actual project to the physics. So let's see, ball component is going to have a rigid body inside it, and so I'll be able to use the interface to interact with the body. So if I do like I ball component get transform, then it's going to go into here, and then it'll do M body get transform and call it, and then it'll go into my physics and do what it's supposed to do. Same with a lot of the other stuff. So in my main, first thing I do is I load my physics. So I have this P physics equals new C physics. So this is a physics engine that's a much simpler, and it's just inside my actual project here, project endgame here. It's inside here, and it's much simpler, and I use it for stuff like AI, and that's easier for doing manual checks for a lot of like small scale stuff. Like on one of my programs, I was able to just check that someone was on the floor and stop them from falling, or apply gravity or apply velocity. Just much simpler. It takes a lot less setup. But my real physics is here. I use my physics wrapper DLL so I can use this function pointer so that I can create the world. So and create the factory. So I create a factory because I need a concrete factory in a physics world. So I create the world. After that, my main, I need an object factory. So this is my abstract factory for creating my graphics objects. So I need that, and then glfw. That's just to load the actual window and rendering to the screen and everything. Just very simple stuff. Name the screen, say how big it's going to be, all that. So then this is for fly camera, being able to point and click where I want to look. Debug renderer, just pretty standard stuff. I load in the meshes. So these are all the Ply models. I use FBX models for my animation, but that's actually loaded at the same time as the actual object, so that I can tie together the animations in the FBX model, because it uses all the bones and everything like that. But this is the like floor, wall right, wall left, all this stuff. It's just, it doesn't need animations basically. And it also, so this loads it, like reads it in and everything, and then I also have like this CMesh object, reads it in, and then I have to make this smodel draw info, so that it loads onto the GPU, and then we can access it in runtime and everything like that. And, yeah, and so then I load the textures. It's still on this load scene file here. Load the textures. Just I use bitmap, BMP files. This is I didn't write this. I got this online, and it works for me, and so that's what I've been using to load the textures onto the objects. So there's that one, and then I load my objects. So this, I use my abstract factory to create. So that's a cloth. That's a little different. And see, I use this component type for my physics. If I go here, it will make a game object and add this component type. So it's a cloth. Let's go into this. And then see cloth object. Yeah, it gives it a unique ID. And then this component type equals whatever I pass it in. So I'm going to be using that for, I don't actually think I use that anymore. Oh yeah, I do. So I make sure that so when I'm adding the component to the physics world, I want to make sure that I'm adding the same component type that's on the object. So if I don't set it right here, it's not going to get put into the world right when I add it down here. Just to make sure I don't add this as, I don't know, ball instead of a cloth. It's not gonna load properly, and so I have it that way. This is all my graphics stuff. I have a lot more than what I'm actually using right now, just because I'm in the process of moving everything over to using actual physics. I want to use only my physics library for all of this stuff, but and I'm just in the process right now of switching it over, so I don't want to completely delete this if I'm missing something in the physics library. And so I still have a lot of stuff that I'm not using, but I'm gonna probably need to keep at least like the texture stuff right away, and rotation. No, actually rotation I'll probably move over as well. So what I do is make the graphic stuff, and then I need a physics definition. In this case it's cloth. There's also, like we saw, we have like a ball, and what was the other one? Ball and a plane, yeah. So, yeah, just add the positions of the corners, the down direction, the node mass, the number of nodes across, how strong the springs are for the integration, and the radius of each node, so I know for the collisions. Then I create an actual cloth using that definition. This create cloth, this is a hard one to, I'm going to go through on a rigid body just because the cloth is much more involved in how it transfers over this definition into the actual physics library. So it goes into the wrapper and then into the physics library to make a soft body. And it's just a lot more involved in transferring the information over. You have to do a lot of math for each node location and everything like that. So I'll go through that on the rigid body. Yeah, so this main character that I make, it's a rigid body. I just treat it as a ball. I give it as like a radius of 5. It's the easiest way to do it that I've found. It looks fine for what I'm doing. I'm not making a AAA game or anything like that, so it looks fine. I'm able to hit the ground and walk on the ground, no problem. And so I make it as a massive 1, so it's not just like completely running over everything else. Set the position, radius, rotation, scale, and angle. So then I create the ball. So I'll go into here. Not bullet physics, although bullet physics I do have. So it creates a new ball, a C ball, I only have the interfaces, and then I make an actual concrete version of it. And so I take this ball def and make a physics definition. So it's something that will actually be used by my physics library to make down here a C sphere. So that's in here. It'll be a rigid body. Oh yeah, sorry, C rigid body. This is just the shape that it's going to be. So a rigid body can either be a sphere or a plane, and so I just straight transfer over of the information, and then I make a shape with the radius and pass in the definition and the shape. When I go in here, it just sets them all right here. Sets all the information as default. Yeah, that's it. Sets all that information. And then I also have the skinned mesh. So this is where I use Async to load the FBX model. RPG character FBX is just a free model that you can get it online, and it comes with a lot of animations. But what I've actually used is Adobe Maximo, I think it's called. You can generate your own animations. It's really useful in conjunction with the physics I'm using, because the animations that this character came with would actually move the character along when I was playing. But Maximo, you can do like in-place animations, so I can keep the physics and the animations in the same spot. And it helps a lot with integrating it. Same thing here, I use this graphics to load it, and same thing for everything else down here. And then I load the lights. So, and I just set the main character to the current object. I'm going to use that down here sometimes. Actually, I don't even know if I'm using it anymore. I separated it out, I'm pretty sure. But this is the FBO, so it's a frame buffer object. It's to do off-screen rendering and render it to an object in the game. So I'll show you what I have for that, and it'll make a little bit more sense. So I'm getting a weird glitch here where I think it must be using the scale to decide where, like, how to render. I don't know. It's just kind of weird, the velocity to do the scale. And you can see actually that my character is not centered on the actual like 0, 0 point. But I'll run into this ball here. I have probably the radius set different. Yeah, so there we go. Hit the ball, and I come into here. But you can see this thing in the background. That is the FBO. There's something off with the object's UV coordinates that I got through MeshLab. So it's rendering 4 times, and I can't really quite figure out why it's doing that. But yeah, I'm rendering things in a scene, and then taking a picture of it basically, and then rendering it to this square in the background. So you can see this ball is also rendered in there, but this cloth and this guy are not. And so that's about it so far. Alright. What's the next important part here? This is what I'm looking at, and so I just have put this in to draw the AI. It's not quite working properly. I can show you. I'll switch to it when I run this. So if I press Shift and Enter, it should change the camera and everything, and then these ships are going to attack my ship, but it's just not quite working properly. Just put that in, so I need to do a couple other things. I just need to debug that and figure it out. Otherwise, it does the first pass to the FBO, and then the second pass is the actual rendering of the scene. And I have XML for loading my lights and everything like that. I used to have more, but as I was switching it over, I ended up hard coding quite a few of the objects, but I plan on putting it all back into XML. And that's about what I've got for my project so far. It doesn't look like a ton, but it has been a ton of work to put it all together. Now it's starting to actually look like something, which is nice, and I'm able to really start building on it. Like putting an AI program in with this other completely separate program and being able to switch back and forth is really cool, and I'm excited to be able to keep going with it. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about it as far as I have right now.